This will lower the mark you need in your exam to pass your subject. To make your exams easier and to lower the mark you need, throughout your entire semester, you need to try and get the best grade possible on every assessment. And that's for two main reasons. The first is that every assessment is worth a different percentage amount, and the leftover percentage amount is what your exam takes up. For example, you might have an essay, tutorials, a presentation, or a poster, and these will be worth different amounts, for example 5% or 15%. Here's an example of two students. The first has completed all their assessments, but they've done it half-heartedly. They haven't tried their hardest to get the best mark they possibly can. These are their marks for those assessments. This second student has worked as hard as they can to do as well as they can and to understand that material. Here are their marks. What grade you need to pass a subject changes depending on where you are in the world, but it will be between 50 and 65%. So I'll use 65% as the example because that way you are guaranteed to pass. This student that didn't put all their effort into their assessments and sort of floated through semester will need to get a whopping 80% in their exam to pass the subject. This student that worked as hard as they could only needs 53% in their exam to pass the subject. That is a big difference. You want to look at a higher grade level. If you want to get over 85% in your subject, this student, it's actually impossible. It can't be done. They would need 120% in their exam. This student needs to get 93%. So it's possible. It's possible for them to get a high distinction or an A in their subject. It's not for this one. So how hard you work on your assessments all semester long actually does matter. Don't go through your semester thinking that you can make up for low grades with your exam. It has the opposite effect. So the less work you do during the semester, the lower your assessment marks, the higher mark you need in your exam to pass the subject. Whereas the more work you do during semester and the higher your assessment marks, the lower the mark you need to pass your subject. And I know which one I want when I go into an exam. I want to know in my mind that I actually don't need a high mark, that I just need a passing mark, and I will do well because it takes the stress away from the exam. The second main reason you want to work as hard as you can on those assessments is because the assessments are designed to make you apply the information that you're learning all semester. Whereas when you come time to studying the exams, you're just memorizing it. You're not actually understanding the material, which is what your assessments do for you. And it is always easier to remember content that we understand compared to something we've just memorized. It's just the way our brains work. So work as hard as you can on those assessments. Try and understand that material as much as possible. Ask your lecturer questions, get some study groups going, and do the best you can on those assessments to make your exam life easier.